All right, before you start negotiating, here's where this research and knowing your stuff is very important. If I offered someone in here a job for, let's say, $50,000, okay? You might be thinking, oh, well, right now I'm making zero, so I'll go 0 to 50, that's great. Well, when you start to do the math, 50,000 might not be enough for you to make ends meet. It might be just enough for you to get by, paycheck to paycheck. So what's going to happen is, you'll get your paycheck, you'll start to see that, oh my gosh, I'm broke every single pay week. You will start to be unhappy in your job. You will start to not be as productive in your job. And then you will want to change jobs. Okay? There are a lot of people that are unhappy or unproductive workers because they're not making what they are worth. And they have themselves to blame, really. Okay? Think back to any job you've had, if you even try to negotiate. Even if you got offered 6 figures, you still need to negotiate. Okay? This is a skill. This is something that, especially in my job, I negotiate contracts with consultants quite a bit. So when I was offered my salary, I said, well, this is something that they clearly wrote out in the job description. So even though it's a very generous salary, I'm going to negotiate. And I did. And it worked out really well. It wasn't that much, just a little bit, because I'm at TCU and you just don't have money like that. But it's a skill that my boss now knows that I have. Okay? So before you think about the salary, just the salary, and think, okay, 50 is good, you got to do some math. You got to figure out what do I spend? What am I going to spend? Anybody in here have student loans? Okay, and I'm sure you've talked to financial aid, but after you graduate in 6 months, guess who's going to be calling you? And they don't care if you have a job. They want their money, starting then and now. So you got to figure that out. Also, how many of you live in Fort Worth? Okay, how many of you that live in Fort Worth are looking at employers out in Dallas? Okay, that commute, that gas. My husband works in Plano. He fills up his tank twice a week. That's a lot of money, and there's a lot of wear and tear on his car. So he needs to make that up somehow. Okay? What about clothing for the current students? Do you have suits? Are you going to be going into an environment where you have to wear business suits? You don't want to get a cheap suit, so you're going to have to spend money on that. So you have to sit down and you have to figure out, what are my expenses? When you do start working, dry cleaning. You're going to have to take your clothes to the dry cleaners. If you have to travel, gas, mileage, all of that. When you start to write all these things down, you're actually building a case for negotiation. Because your employer is not looking at your personal finances. They're looking at their needs in the company. But these are all things that you can point out. This is why $50,000 is not going to work for me, because of these expenses. Okay? So you need to figure out what is the lowest amount you can take. And that's where I start with students. What's the minimum that you can take and be happy in your job? Okay, figure that out. What's the lowest salary that you will take and then be happy getting up every day going into work? Okay, and realize that you have to pay the government, so you're going to be taxed. So do that math. Okay? And there are so many calculators online that you can figure out what your net pay might be after income taxes come out. Okay? Because you might think, oh, $50,000. But if you're being paid monthly, if you're a state employee, and you're being paid monthly or bi-weekly, it's not $50,000 check you're getting. Okay? So do that math.